We're going to be spending the next two presentations talking about really some of the most horrific war crimes that were committed during World War II, and they were not committed by the Nazis. These crimes were committed by the Japanese on Chinese civilians in the areas of Harbin, China, and the capital city of Nanking, China. Now, to try to understand the actions of the Japanese during this time, it's important to understand that Japan was really motivated by two things. Many of the Japanese held extreme racist views towards other Asians. They believed that they were genetically and culturally superior to any other people, and in particular to other Asians. Now, the Japanese were also recovering from the Great Depression, and they were desperate for natural resources in order to expand their economy. They had limited natural resources on their islands, and unfortunately for their neighbors, many of them had rich quantities of these resources that Japan wanted so badly. Now, in 1935, Japan invaded an area called Harbin, China. Now, quickly, they built a research laboratory that was designed to test biological, chemical, and conventional weapons. Now, these subjects that would be used would not be lab rats, but they would be humans, and they were Chinese civilians from the surrounding area. Now, the Chinese who were captured and brought to the facility, they were injected with a variety of diseases, and these included smallpox, the bubonic plague, syphilis, gonorrhea, cholera, and anthrax. Again, a biological program intended to infect people with these diseases. Now, not every Chinese patient was injected with diseases. Some were used for experiments to see the human body's response to various conventional weapons of war. And as you can see from the graphic to the right, humans were strapped to boards, and then they were placed at various distances from grenade explosions. Others were attacked with flamethrowers and chemical weapons. And even more barbaric, Japanese scientists would lace candy with various types of poison and then pass it out to the Chinese children in the city. They would then make observations to see how effective the poison was at killing human beings. Now, to better understand how diseases impacted the internal organs of humans, Japanese surgeons would perform live vivisections on infected individuals. Now, if you don't know what a vivisection is, it's an operation on a living patient, not to heal them, but to dissect them and to observe the organs, how they're functioning when they're still alive. Now, these procedures, again, were not done post-mortem after a diseased patient had died, but they were conducted while these individuals were sick, but while they were still alive. Now, really, under any moral code, these experiments were wrong. There's not even a question about that. Conducted during a time of war, these were clearly war crimes. Under any moral code, these are war crimes, but not a single commanding officer or surgeon was convicted of their crimes. At the end of the war, Japanese scientists and surgeons, they made an offer, and they offered to turn over all the data that they had collected in these experiments to the Americans, but there was a catch. They would end up being immune from any prosecution. So basically saying, we're going to give you the stuff, but you can't prosecute us for anything that we've done. Now, the U.S. scientists wanted this human data badly, and they knew they could never do these types of experiments on humans, so a deal was made. Basically, the Japanese science gave the data from their experiments to the U.S. government, and the U.S. government made a promise to never charge them with a war crime. These people were never brought to trial, never ever convicted of any war crimes. So that is Unit 731, one of the more underreported, but one of the worst cases of human atrocities in World War II.